Hello and welcome to the Everything Art Podcast, episode 28. And today we are reading chapter 23 in Matthew because we're doing a series where every single day I'm going to post a video where we read a chapter in Matthew, and today's 23. Did I say 28? Well, chapter 23. And in chapter 23, Jesus calls out the religious hypocrites once again and condemns religious hypocrisy. So, this is going to be fun. Open your Bibles, chapter 23, and let's get to reading. Then spoke Jesus to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. And that just means that they think they know everything about Moses and, know the law and know everything, all therefore, whatever they bid you to observe, that observe and do, but do not do after their works, for they say and do not. So they speak, righteous, good things and everything, but don't do it themselves. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. So they just put a bunch of burdens on other people. And if you guys know, we read in an earlier chapter of Matthew that Jesus' yoke is easy and his burden is light. So them putting burdens on people is not like Jesus would do. But all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries and enlarge the borders of their garments. So everything that they do is just to get glory from God. To get glory from men. That's why they do everything. Sorry about my fan. I saw the microphone going red and I was like, shoot. So it should be good now. So yeah. And love the uppermost rooms at feasts, and chief seats in the synagogues, and greetings in the markets, and to be called of men, Rabbi, Rabbi. But be not ye called Rabbi, for one is your master, even Christ, and all you are brethren. And call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father which is in heaven. Neither be ye called masters, for one is your master, even Christ. So he calls out titles, not to give people titles and everything like that, because you probably heard in churches there would be I'm saying a lot, father, somebody would be named Father, and he's saying restrain from those titles and everything. Verse 11, but he that is greatest among you shall be your servant, and whosoever shall exalt himself shall be humbled, and he that is humbled himself shall be exalted or lifted up. But woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. For you neither go in yourselves, neither suffer ye them that are entering to go in. So he's saying that these Pharisees and these hypocrites prevent others from entering the kingdom, and they're not even going to go themselves either. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you devour widows' houses, and for a pretense make long prayers. Therefore you shall receive greater condemnation. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you compass sea and land to make one proselyte, and when he is made, you make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves. Woe to you, you blind guides, which say, whosoever shall swear by the temple, it is nothing, but whosoever shall swear by gold of the temple, he is obligated to perform it. So, verse 16 goes back to Matthew 5:33 through 37, saying, when Jesus says, for the Sermon of the Mount to avoid swearing oaths and swearing by anything. You fools and blind, for what is greater, the gold or the temple that sanctifies the gold? And whosoever shall swear by the altar, it is nothing, but whosoever swears by the gift that is upon it, he is obligated to perform it. You fools and blind, for what is greater, the gift or the altar that sanctifies the gift? Whosoever therefore shall swear by the altar swears by it, and swears by all things thereon. And whosoever shall swear by the temple swears by it, and by himself that dwells there. And he that shall swear by heaven swears by the throne of God, and by him that sits thereon. So, yeah, like what I was saying, it goes back to, don't swear by anything, don't swear, like, oaths and everything. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought you to have done, and not to leave the other undone. He's saying that they focus on the tiny little things of the law and make sure the people are following, the tiny little things, and they're blind to the greater things of the law, that what the law is supposed to represent and call people to is judgment, mercy, and faith, and they're just blind to that. They're only they only see like the tiny little things that matter, but like don't really matter at all, compared to judgment, mercy, and faith that Jesus describes here. You blind guys, which strain at a gnat and swallow a camel. Again, the word, when he says strain at a gnat, they're tiny little things, they're focused on those tiny things. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you make clean the house of the cup and of the platter, but within they are full of extortion and excess. So they may look righteous and good and clean on the outside, but they are sinners, and they have hardened hearts, and they are not clean and righteous on the inside. That's what he's saying. You blind Pharisees, cleanse first that which is within your cup and platter, that the outside of them may be clean also. And this is what he's telling us to do too. We have to clean the inside of ourselves, and change our hearts and soften our hearts and everything. And how we do that is come to Jesus, get to know him and everything. And when we start to love him, we start to change our hearts and see how much he loves us unconditionally. And, with that power of love, we start to change our hearts and do things for God and help other people and love other people. And we begin to be made righteous through Jesus. And he'll clean the inside of us. And eventually when he cleans the inside of us and helps, speak through us and teach through us through the Holy Spirit, we begin to glow pretty much. We begin to become more like Jesus, and other people may see that you are becoming more like Jesus, because it's not the inside that's clean. It's not just the inside that's clean now. It's beginning to be the outside. You're outwardly showing that you follow Jesus and you are righteous through Jesus. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you are like unto whitewashed tombs, which indeed appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones and of all uncleanness. So Jews would paint their tombs white so other Jews would not become unclean. And this is a very good representation, because looking good and pure and clean on the outside, but in the inside you're not clean and you're not pure. And that's a good visual that Jesus showed to connect with these Jews. Even so, you also outwardly appear righteous unto men, but within yourselves you are full of hypocrisy and lawlessness. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you build the tombs of the prophets and garnish the tombs of the righteous, and say, if we had been in the days of our fathers, we would not have been partakers with them in the blood of the prophets. Therefore you be witnesses unto yourself that you are the children of them which killed the prophets. Fill up then the measure of guilt of your fathers. So right here he hints at the Pharisees' role in Jesus' death, and they'll be a part of Jesus' death, like why Jesus was arrested. You serpents, you generation you generation of vipers, how can you escape the condemnation of hell? Wherefore, behold, I send to you prophets and wise men and scribes, and some of them you shall kill and crucify, and some of them you shall scourge in your synagogues, and persecute them from city to city, that upon you may come all the righteous blood shed upon the earth, from the blood of the righteous Abel unto the blood of Zacharias, son of Barachias, whom you slew between the temple and the altar. Verily I say to you that all these things shall come upon this generation. So yeah, this is a lot. He's just going off at these Pharisees and these hypocrites and everything that, like, you know, they hold so much sin. And when he's saying all these things shall come upon this generation, that could refer to when Jerusalem falls in, I think it's 70 AD or something like that, like when there's a big huge thing happening in Jerusalem during that time. And also he constantly is talking about Judgment Day and how all these things will come to pass, and basically they'll be guilty for, you know, their sins and everything and what they did, and all that stuff. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you have killed the prophets and stoned them which are sent to you. How often would I have gathered your children together, even as even as a hen gathers her chickens under her wings, and you would not. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. For I say to you, you shall not see me henceforth till you shall say, blessed is he that comes in the name of the Lord. And this is referred to Jesus' second coming. So this whole chapter, Jesus is like calling out religious hypocrisy and completely condemning it. That's just wrong, to speak things and teach things that you're not doing yourselves. And they don't even know God, like know God in their hearts. They're just speaking the law, and there's no love in it. And and they're teaching these things, they're teaching the law, and they're not even following it themselves. And it just shows like how like untrue they are, and how you can't even trust them, what they say or anything, and because they don't do what they say, and it brings people further from God. You know, these hypocrites bring people further from God. And it's happened so many times in our generation too, like in our world, where these people in churches would speak things but wouldn't do them themselves, and would go out and sin and do all these other stuff, and wouldn't even feel bad about it, and continue to come to church the next day and teach and everything. And when people find these things out, that they speak against God instead of, you know, the real problem, that it's not God's fault that this person chose to sin, but speak the truth, and it's not even the truth, because they're sinning and there's no heart in it. Like, just there's still hypocrites today who are speaking the word and not following it, and they may look good on the outside and everything, but in their heart, they're unclean and unrighteous on the inside. And Jesus helps us to identify these people, and we could try to help them and speak the truth and everything. But religious hypocrisy is terrible because it does bring people astray and brings people away from Jesus, and that's not what we want. So this is a good chapter 23. If you have any other questions, anything to add, you know what to do, just comment it down below. I hope that you liked this video. Thank you for coming on and joining and watching and reading chapter 23 with me today. I pray that you guys have a wonderful, amazing, blessed day today. Thank you guys so much for everything you do. Thank you for helping out the channel and watching and everything. So I hope you have an amazing day. Bye!